From the Busby Babes to the treble-winning side of '99, to the 07-08 Premier League and Champions League winning side, all these teams had something in common. They were full of world-class players, footballers who were the top 4 or 5 in their positions in the world. Over the years, United have had some of the most feared players who have reached the highest levels in football and won the highest honours. But when we fast forward to today, what's gone wrong? A team that once dominated football is almost unrecognisable, but it's not for the reasons you think. A decade ago, Sir Alex Ferguson, arguably the greatest manager in history, retired from football after winning the league with Manchester United in the 12-13 season, leaving behind an ageing squad with the likes of Rio Ferdinand, Nemanja Vidic, Ryan Giggs and Paul Scholes, all coming to the end of their careers. The club was a ticking time bomb and was going into a massive transition, as they not only needed to rebuild their first 11, but they would also have a new manager in charge for the first time in almost 27 years. A decade has passed and it seems like United are still stuck in this transitional phase. In the last decade, they've spent over €1.2 billion, and it doesn't seem like they're making any progress. There is no philosophy or structure to the way the club's being run. Since Fergie's left, they've had 8 different managers, with the longest tenure being Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who was appointed in 2019 and sacked in 2021. This being one of the biggest problems with the club at the moment, they're in a cycle of firing managers prematurely. They'll bring in a new manager and let them spend a bunch of money on players they believe will fit their style of play, not give them enough time to implement their style of play due to a bad run of games, and then get rid of them. This has led to a team of different jigsaw pieces being put together, and then expecting the next manager to be capable of putting all the mismatched pieces together. Although they have made some great signings, the recruitment philosophy has been all over the place. On Sir Alex Ferguson's departure, the club attempted to rejuvenate the squad with young talents, but once that failed, they opted to buying short-term stopgap signings to tape over the cracks that began to appear. They'll sign players and put them on massive wages, and then if the player is underperforming over a period of time, they're reluctant to sell, meaning that position will be lagging behind and pulls the team down. Even if they wanted to sell, they wouldn't be able to, because no other club will be willing to match the wages United have set for the player. It seems over the years United's pulling power is becoming weaker each season, with other top clubs having a bigger project to sell to players. Manchester United over the years seems to be a graveyard, rather than somewhere players can thrive and become better players. Over the last decade, not one young player comes to mind who has signed for United and improved. Players who have had huge potential before joining United like Pogba, Sancho, and even players who are already performing at the top of their game, like Alexis Sanchez. It seems like once they joined United, they completely fell off, and their careers took a downward trajectory. This is why their pulling power has suffered so much, because there's no examples of a player who's signed in recent years and progressed. Looking back at all the players United have transferred in over the years, there's only a handful you can pick out who have had successful careers there. Players like Mata, Blind, Zlatan, and currently Bruno Fernandes. But for a club of their size with the history they've got, to only be able to pick out a few signings in a decade shows the decline in the club. Their transfer policy was criticised 6 years ago by their most successful manager since Sir Alex Ferguson, Jose Mourinho. And since then, nothing has changed. Mourinho won the Community Shield, League Cup and Europa League in his first season with Manchester United, but was painted out to be the villain when he was at the club, making fans turn against him. But now time has passed, a lot of the points he was making were true. The lack of long-term vision from the board has been one of the biggest issues, from the players, the coaches and the stadium. The owners seem to just want short-term profits, which for them is just trying to qualify for the Champions League and have a cup run. They don't show any aspirations to win or compete for anything major, which leaves a sour taste in the mouth of the fans of the club. The term world class is often thrown around too easily in football, but in my opinion the definition is someone who is consistently regarded as one of the top 4 or 5 in their position. And I don't believe Manchester United have had a world class player since Sir Alex Ferguson has left. The only one who has a shout is Bruno Fernandes, but even then I don't believe he's been consistent enough to warrant this title. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and what you think United need to turn this around.